What is up, ladies and gentlemen? But most of all, you ladies out there, thanks for clicking on another episode of Break the Silence. I am your host, Cyborg. That Redeem Team documentary went crazy. Let's talk about it. Split cow! We are officially 1 week away from NBA basketball, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited to talk about the NBA. I'm so excited to watch the NBA, and I know a lot of you out there are as well, but we just got a massive documentary that came out, I believe this weekend, the Redeem Team documentary, talking about that 2008 Olympics team that played in Beijing with LeBron, Kobe, Dwayne Wade, Carmelo, Chris Bosh, Chris Paul, Darren Williams, Dwight Howard, Tayshaun Prince, Carlos Boozer, Michael Redd, and Jason Kidd. It was an incredible documentary. If you haven't got a chance to watch it, I highly recommend it. It brought up a lot of questions and a lot of things that I think we can talk about. Talking about a couple of the individual players we'll break down and talk about today. Talking about the globalization of basketball and USA basketball and all that encompasses, and I'm super excited to talk about it all. First, please take a second to like and subscribe to the channel. We're headed for 500 subs. Super excited to get there. Appreciate all the support. So please take a second to like and subscribe. But let's get into this. I think one of the things that was the overlying point that people were talking about was the Kobe LeBron debate came up a lot when you're watching this documentary. Now, the thing you got to remember when you're watching documentaries is that they're either trying to make certain people look really good or really bad. When you're talking about maybe more real life documentaries, if it's like a Jeffrey Dahmer kind of thing, that's trying to make them look really bad. But when you're talking about these sports documentaries, it a lot of times is trying to make a person look better. If you've watched a couple of these untold documentaries on Netflix about Tim Donaghy, the ref that gambled on NBA games, Manti Te'o, a lot of those are trying to make you see the whole situation from the perspective of Manti Te'o, of Tim Donaghy, that kind of make them look a little better than they looked at the time. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong necessarily, but that's all what you got to remember when you're watching documentaries. They're oftentimes to kind of They kind of push one thing a little harder. When you're watching this documentary, I think what we saw from a lot of the players and a lot of the people that were talking about it was really pushing Kobe Bryant's greatness. And again, not saying that's a bad thing. It was very entertaining, and I love hearing the Kobe Bryant stories. Kobe Bryant, we all think, is a top 10 NBA player of all time. You know, obviously, rest in peace. But Kobe Bryant's awesome. And as far as like stories of an NBA player, I don't think they get better than Kobe Bryant when they're talking about his competitiveness, his work ethic, his mindset, mentality, all those kinds of things. And that's why we all love Kobe Bryant, why he's so revered. But a lot of people try to make a debate about Kobe versus LeBron. And to me, there are times and places for all these kinds of debates, but I didn't see that documentary as one of them. What I want to talk about is those two specifically, and I also want to add in D Wade, but those two specifically, what they brought to the Redeem Team and what made that so special. And then we're also going to get into talking about this and the globalization of the NBA, because I think that's an interesting topic when you're looking at the Dream Team and what happened past then and what that led to. But when you're looking at this, let's first talk about Kobe Bryant. When you're first watching that documentary, Kobe Bryant's not in like the entire first half because he didn't play on the 2004 team that lost in Athens. And then he also did not play, I believe, the first summer when they were trying to qualify for the 2008 Olympics because they had lost in 2004. So Kobe Bryant wasn't in it at the beginning. And when Kobe Bryant walks in, it's like the entire presence, demeanor, mentality of the team changes. They talked about one night where they all went out partying, and when they got back from the party in Vegas, Kobe Bryant was getting up at 5 a.m. to go work out in the gym. And they just talked about how much that changed the whole mentality of the entire USA roster, which is unbelievable when you think about that. You're talking about all these incredible athletes, all these all-time athletes that are on one team, and you have one player that his work ethic and mentality rises above. That's incredible when you're talking about Kobe Bryant. The other big thing that we notice about Kobe Bryant is his clutch gene and his mentality. There was one game against Spain that they talked about how he just was going to run through Pau Gasol. And that shows you that Kobe Bryant's mentality, when you watch that, you're like, this guy is so different. And that's what made Kobe Bryant so great and so special. And one of the things that I think that's so important when you're talking about this, when you're talking about nerves and anxiety and mentality in late game situations, what makes you confident in those moments is your preparation. When you're looking at anything in life, anything you do, whether it's an interview, whether it's a test, whether it's a basketball game, whether it's anything along a big performance, musicals, anything like that, what makes you most confident and go in and feel like you can crush that moment is your preparation. If you feel prepared for that moment, then you're more than likely going to go in there with confidence. Whether you succeed or not is a different story, and Kobe missed plenty of game winners. But because of his preparation, his work ethic, his confidence in the work he put in, that made him in those moments feel confident that he could come through and deliver. And he did so many times, time and time again. And we saw that in this documentary. When Spain fought back, which was an incredible team, by the way, Rudy Fernandez on Spain was a dog. And there were a couple dudes from Spain that were just absolute dogs. But Kobe Bryant, you just, like, when he was taking those clutch shots, he just seemed like he had all the confidence in the world. Like, he just would not miss. He would not miss in those moments. And that's truly incredible. And that's, again, what made Kobe Bryant so special. His work ethic mentality led to feeling confident in these late game situations and led to him winning as many titles as he did. Now let's transition to LeBron, because I think this was they talked about Coach K quite a bit too. And I don't got time in this video. I'm trying not to go too long, but I don't got time to hit on the Coach K stuff too much. But LeBron, brought a different piece to the team that I also thought was very valuable. Now, when you look at the scoring leaders on this team, I actually thought it was interesting. D. Wade led the team in scoring. LeBron was number 2, and then Kobe was number 3. So when you're talking about that, this documentary didn't show a lot of LeBron makes, especially in that final game. But he definitely came through on the offensive end. They also mentioned that LeBron was the defensive leader. And if you remember at that time, LeBron was all defensive team kind of guy. He was also almost won Defensive Player of the Year. I think that would have been a couple years later. But the biggest thing that stood out to me about LeBron James was his vocal leadership for a man that was only 5 years into the NBA. So he would have only been at the time 24-ish. I don't know his exact age that year. But you're talking about a 24-year-old with the vocal leadership in a team full that's representing the entire NBA. LeBron led the huddles. LeBron spoke up in all the pregame locker room talks. That's what is crazy about LeBron. And when you talk about his leadership and you talk about his mentality, that's what really stood out to me about LeBron when you're watching this documentary. The other thing about LeBron is just the way that his intelligence in the game. But that's why he feels so confident being a vocal leader, because he's so smart and so intelligent that he really can rally the troops and kind of get them on the same page. And that's why I think Kobe and LeBron were so great on that team together. And then you had guys like D. Wade who absolutely balled out. Dwayne Wade was unbelievable in that run. Like I said, led the team in scoring. And in that game against Spain for the gold medal, D. Wade was kind of the guy who really put them in a good spot when they talked about Kobe and LeBron got in early foul trouble. Now, this was kind of led to a bigger topic when you're talking about the globalization of basketball. And we all know that most of us know that this started because of the Dream Team, with the team with Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, all these legends on it that went and dominated in the Olympics, the first year that the NBA players played in the Olympics and really showed what the USA was about when it came to basketball. And that piqued the interest across the globe. And they talked about how beloved Kobe was in China and how these NBA players were becoming superstars, not only just in the US, but also all over the world. And that's what I think is really interesting when you're looking at other sports. The thing that the NFL is trying to do, they're having these games in London. They're trying to begin to globalize the sport. And in the NBA, you have guys who are superstars, and it's a little more superstar driven league than the NFL. But that's what I think you'll see the NFL try to do in the coming years. I wonder even if they get a team outside of the US in the coming years. We'll see what happens there. But that's what's so cool about the NBA, and when you're talking about basketball in general, there is so much talent outside of the US now. You're talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo, Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, Victor Wembanyama. There are guys coming from overseas, from Canada, from all over the globe that are coming into the NBA and are dominating and are excellent players. And that's what's so cool about the Dream Team and the Redeem Team, that really, that's why the Olympics are important. It kind of globalized the game. And I think that's really awesome when you think about that. Final point. When you're talking about this, one of the things that Coach K was adamant about was that he wanted his guys to have a multi-year commitment. And this kind of hit on the fact that the rest of the world had played together for so many years. They played on the same teams. They knew schemes. They grew up together. And that's why when we talk about chemistry in sports, it's really so underrated. One of the things that was a big debate was load management. When you looked at that, and you're talking about teams like the Brooklyn Nets and the Los Angeles Clippers, if I can bring it back to current NBA, but those teams were highly talented, and a lot of people thought, okay, are these teams going to just dominate when you get to the playoffs? And some people were saying, no, they didn't play enough games together. Other people were saying they'll be healthy for the playoffs. But you talk about how important chemistry is. The U.S. went out there with a team full of guys that probably had 4 or 5 of the best players on the court. Certainly LeBron, Kobe, D. Wade. And then, you're kind of in a discussion. Pau Gasol maybe enters into that discussion right around there. But that was almost not enough to beat Spain because of how great their chemistry was and how well they played together. And I think that that's important when you're talking about the NBA and you're talking about sports in general, whether that be football, whether that be basketball, how important chemistry is, and knowing where your guy's going to be, knowing that you can trust the guy beside you, defensively and offensively. So this documentary was super, super fun to watch. So if you haven't got a chance to watch it, take a second. I think it was about an hour and a half. Totally worth it. I love these documentaries, and I hope they keep pumping them out. And I hope they are recording a ton nowadays so that we can get a lot of behind the scenes footage in years when they make certain documentaries. But kind of just want to get on here and talk about that. We're a week away from the NBA season, so let's get hype, people. Like and subscribe to the channel. Cyborg out.